What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Naynay. I've been here, relax. If you have not subscribed here, but I am on TikTok, Patreon, and Instagram, and Spotify. You can always find us on Tasno's podcast, alright? For the past few months, I began to talk about 10 different lessons that MMA taught me that school didn't teach me. This is my personal experience. I'm not expecting everyone to agree, but open your mind. So the 7th lesson is that pain is part of the growth. See, when it comes to school, what happens when you fail an exam is like, shit, I failed. Now you gotta either redo it, and if you can't redo it, you might have to pay for the class, and it freaking sucks. Because I remember having to pay for my classes and whatever. So when I didn't pass, it's like, shit, that's on me, right? But it's actually not a good thing, right? Because you fail, you probably lost the class, you lost some money. And it's just not a good thing to go through. But when it comes to MMA, that pain that you go through, those setbacks that you go through, that discomfort is actually embraced. And MMA, we do embrace the fact that we have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that's part of growth. That's part of building that character. I remember during the times, it was my second fight. And yeah, I didn't win it. But I do remember, going through the struggle because I did do 3 rounds. I lasted at 3 rounds. But during those times of my life, those were the hardest times of my life. But they built character. They helped me build that character inside of me. And also showed me that I'm not a quitter. Because what happens when some people lose a fight, right? Sometimes they quit. Sometimes they stop training. Sometimes they have that PTSD, which I totally understand. But not everyone keeps doing the sport. Or just things in general. People quit after some things that get hard. And so during that time of my life, even though I had to go through it internally, externally, some people saw it as inspiration. I appreciate that. I didn't do that to inspire other people. If anything, I appreciate the fact that some people did notice, me working hard for my fights. And even though I didn't get the win, I still earned a valuable lesson that I am a fighter. And that I don't quit after things get hard. The lesson behind it, right? Because fighting is not something that I could say, oh shit, like everyone does it. Not a lot of people fight, bro. Especially in a cage fight. And so that's impressive for some people. But for me, it was the act itself. The courage to go into a cage and go at it, go at it with the girl. And I was proud of myself for that. Of course, at the time, it didn't feel like it. But again, that part of my life in MMA was a growth moment for me. It built my character. That's what I mean, like when we're going through a training camp, yeah, we're gonna go through a lot of positions that we're uncomfortable. We're gonna go through a lot of sparring sessions that we're very uncomfortable with. We're gonna get punched in the face. That's already uncomfortable. We're gonna get submitted. That's uncomfortable. But we do embrace those days because we learn from them. We learn what not to do and what to do after that. Whether or not we want to learn the lesson behind it, that's completely up to us. That's why I mean, like, pain is part of the process. Pain is part of the growth, and we do embrace that discomfort. That's what makes martial artists great martial artists, because despite that discomfort of getting submitted by a white belt, let's say I'm a black belt and I do get submitted by a white belt, right? Someone that just started training maybe like a year in. Yeah, I'm gonna embrace that discomfort, and it's like, shit, I just got tapped out. Shit, I just got hit real hard. Well, guess what happens? I should have put my hands up, bro. I should have put my hands up. I should have not gotten caught in that submission. And that's on me. So what do? I learn from that mistake. And then I recognize, like, okay, this is what I did. This is what I should have done. And then move on. But we do embrace that. Otherwise, how are we going to learn? And so moving on into the 8th lesson is that you are responsible for your own growth. In school, you're told what to learn. And in MMA, the growth is completely up to you. So the difference between learning and growing, when you learn maybe a new set of skills, you learn knowledge. You gain knowledge about a certain topic or technique. But when you grow, that's where your character is built, because you learn the lessons behind it. And then you become a better person afterwards. So in school, yeah, they'll teach you stuff. And that's why a lot of people, when they're in college, they'll be like, well, I'm not learning this outside of college. Or maybe their degree does not match with the career path that they chose. And that's because maybe like they switched their mindset and they decided to have different goals, whatever the case may be. But Sometimes we just learn things. Doesn't mean that we're actually growing from those things, right? So when it comes to MMA, that growth is completely up to us, whether or not we want to learn from our mistakes, learn from the experiences that we go through in the gym. That's completely up to us. Our coaches are there to guide us because they're there to give us a path, right? To take the best case scenario for us to be the best that we can be. But it's not up to them for us to grow, because at the end of the day, guess who's going to step into that cage? We are. Guess who's going to go into the grappling tournament? We are. The coaches are there to guide us. I remember, again, going back to my first fight, to my second fight, is like my coach had me training a certain way, right? And even though I was okay in the gym, because again, there was a lot of room for growth, when it came to the actual fight, I didn't necessarily apply what I was taught. And so that was on me. That was on me for not training myself like I was supposed to. That was on me for not training my mindset like I was supposed to. And so I'm not putting fingers on anybody, but that's literally on me. So when it comes to growing, we can make the choice of staying stagnant, staying stuck, or we can continue to move forward with whatever situation we have. Right now, there's a lot of fighters in our gym, and it's nice to see that everyone's growing together. But I was like, if you guys have watched the previous fights, I've talked about it in the past. Some of our fighters have lost, some of our fighters have won. And then when it comes to those losses, I take those losses personally too, because I'm like, damn, what did I do? Also, like, why didn't I contribute a little bit more as a teammate, right? As a coach, why couldn't I do a little bit more of whatever? And that's the thing, like, I'm also putting myself in, putting that responsibility on myself because I'm part of the team. So then I also humble myself and say, okay, what is it that I need to be better at as a training partner so that I can help my teammate? That's part of the growth, realizing what's going on, acknowledging what's going on, and trying to find a solution so we can be better people. But at least going through all the setbacks when it comes to the injuries, I'm able to at least come back, right? So it's not about just, okay, I have a lot of setbacks and quitting on myself, but it's also making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to so that I can come back stronger and better. So let me know what you guys think. Yeah, share your perspective. How long have you been training? So I want to know, how long have you been training? What have you learned from training? And if any of this talks resonate with you, and if so, then how? So I'll see you guys next week. Bye.